Hello and welcome to another video. So one of the first decks for the expansion that we are going to be covering is HavenCraft. So HavenCraft seems to be reasonably popular in the current testing phase of the meta, alongside Roach decks seem to be pretty popular, and other variations of Forest, and also Dragon decks, which we are going to be covering in the future. So first off, a lot of new cards to go through, a lot of new cards to cover, so it's probably best to cover those in game, but just for some of the more basic ones, Virtuous Aether, great for Natura. Also Desert Pathfinder, again, another great way to get a tree. The main aim of this deck is to generate trees to take advantage of stuff like Featherfolk Punisher, and of course Hollow Feather being a big win condition, but also having enough support cards to really back that up. Also, nice sneak attack works really well. As Meowskers itself dealing strike damage really does help out, so that's really good. We're going to get right into this then and check it out. Alright, so the couple of matches here we have for this video are against Rune. Rune seems to be one that I come up against a fair bit when playing Haven for some reason, although later on, when I was working for other deck videos, it didn't pop up quite as much, as I did find Rune to be one of the weaker Natura classes that I've tested out so far. Although that could come down to variation, the current meta, all the different possibilities, so I am not worried too much. So starting off with an okay hand, getting Hollow Feather early is always great. Saintly Squills works well with the Natura set along with the other Haven amulets, so always does a nice job. Desert Pathfinder though is our big starting card, as that does start us off fairly nicely. And Iron Knuckle just kind of defensing, setting up a good defense. So, nice spread for our opponent's board. We can pretty much ignore it though, we don't really need to hit it. The idea of this deck, we do need to get some chip damage in early, because it does help us out in the long run to get those Hollow Feather, Saintly Squeal sort of plays and finish games off. So taking advantage of that early pressure is always good.
If it has come to this, I will fight. My hands are tied.
The opponent's just going to strike all these down by the looks of it. That does leave us with our Pathfinder for an Evo, so we're looking very promising. Plus we can finally get a Natura in our hand. So I go for the setup, I go for the Saintly Squills, which also generates a Natura Great Tree, or Naturan Great Tree, sorry. And we can easily strike face for 2. Potentially setting up lethal next turn, thanks to Hollow Feather. So, Hollow Feather plus Squeal should be enough for lethal, provided we get the hits in, which it looks like we're going to. Hollow Feather is an amazing card for these decks. And Meowskers actually isn't bad. Easily able to score that 1 damage when you might need it. Does help greatly. So now that we've seen one of the quicker games, this should be a little bit longer one. Again, as I mentioned, also against a RuneCraft, but at least a pretty different playstyle, personally. So again, Hollow Feather in your opener is really good. If you can get at least 1 in your opener, you're usually pretty set. We have now got 2. Which, while not bad, we don't have anything for our early game yet. We got the Feather Punisher, but that's really it. So I throw him down because I don't really have another option. If I did, I would have played it. Luckily we did get Robo Wing, but Alchemic's going to be way better, especially now that we have 3 Hollow Feather in hand. So they can be decreased a crazy amount. As soon as we start generating these Natura Great Trees. So we're focusing on destroying Natura Great Trees. Rune actually just focuses purely on playing them for most of their big effects. So, this is a good looking hand. A little awkward, but good. Decided to go for Princess because the Meowsketeers should do the job nicely. I do make the error of attacking first. I should have actually held off. I would have then got at least 3 damage in instead of 1. Simple error. Just not used to the deck, obviously, since these are brand new cards. But I'll have to try and remember that for next time. And try you guys to remember that too. Meowscar's gets its buff off those, so when you're able to play them out, definitely take advantage of it. So Apex Elemental, that works wonderfully for Rune. Even if it's a bit slow. Now, we do just need to generate some cards here. Well, I was just short from getting those down to 0 for a nice Holy Lord Ektar play, which would give us 18 damages for lethal, so we're very close. We just need to make that last push. And that's where things get tricky here for us, since we don't quite have the power to do so. Luckily, Holy Marksman, that's a good draw. It's going to let us take this out without any trouble. And since we're still trying to buy a little bit of time, this is definitely a worthwhile tactic. So, Traveler's Respite, Rune really pushing these trees now. Flaming Hot Flare has also become reasonably popular, I've noticed. And not a bad one for us to pull there, Princess. We can use that to our advantage. Pop some of these trees off. This time, not stuffing up my play for the Meowscartier, so I get good damage. And I also can't play the Golden Bell yet, just because I need the board space free for these 3 hollows. And I think I hit face. Pretty certain I did, so that's good. If I missed it, that's another misplay on my part. So the Clay Golem really is slowing me down now. Since I can't go for lethal without at least removing it. Lucky with double of these, I can actually take this out. If we really want, we can even play the Saintly, but I did decide to hold on to that just in case I need it for lethal. We finally get to see the 8/6 come down. Thankfully, even if they had 1 in hand, we would be just one damage out from lethal. So that worked out pretty well for us. Luckily for us, we have lethal in hand, 3 hollow feathers to the board, and the Holy Lord, giving it 18 damage exactly. It was a bit of a risk, but it paid off. And allowed us to push a guaranteed lethal there. So overall, this Haven deck is definitely one I would recommend giving a go if you have the cards for it, since it doesn't require too many as far as new legendaries go, only including the new Princess at 3, which is definitely worth it. It's got really good value for the Natura and Great Trees and can come in very handy. Otherwise, everything else is reasonably cheap, and if you already have a Holy Lord, you're pretty well set. At 5 legendaries, you can't go too wrong with this. So I definitely recommend giving it a go if you've got the cards. Even if you don't, I recommend trying to at least make it if you're interested in playing HavenCraft. Will it stand up to the test of the meta later on? We'll have to wait and see, so do be a bit cautious in that sense if you are waiting on the expansion to settle in. Otherwise, go for it, give it a go, have some fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, find the link to this deck in the description below. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys, see ya.